Sitting on Wednesday was adjourned abruptly because members present did not form a quorum to transact business. Member of Parliament for Adaklu, Kwame Agboja, first raised the concern, but his colleagues on the majority caucus objected it. Deputy Majority Leader Afenyo Marking argued that some members are involved in committee meetings and by extension engaged in parliamentary business. Do listen to the debate on the floor.
A house which is a master of its rules and acts in the interest of the nation, where we know that members can be unavoidably absent in the chamber but will be carrying out parliamentary duty. This morning, for instance, the Committee of Defense and Interior members were at national security. Subsidiary legislation has been sitting. Finance has been having meetings. All I'm trying to say is that if we assume quorum to be suddenly arising, then we will be ambushing our own bona fides as members of parliament in this chamber.
It's this same house that made a rule that committee sittings take place after adjournment. So it's either we are saying committee sittings take place after adjournment or not. But currently, the rule is that committee sittings are supposed to take place after adjournment. Mr. Speaker, putting all these things together, I want my colleague also to be aware that since Parliament resumed, we've never had quorum at the start, most of the time. Yet we continue to work in cooperation.
Shakespeare says in Macbeth, there is no art to find the mind's construction in the face. Kwame, is it the case? I don't know your mind. I don't know what is in there. But Kwame, I am unable to tell your mind's construction in your handsome face. Is there anything ulterior other than what you are doing?
Rules. We all know what is right. And the lesson from today, which must be going into tomorrow and subsequently, is to ensure or must lead to ensuring that honorable colleagues come to the House punctually and to conduct business. Based on that, Mr. Speaker, I rise under the authority given to members of Parliament under Order 41(1)(a) of our standing orders, which is express that at any time prior to 3 minutes before the stated time for concluding a sitting, a member may move for the adjournment of the House. Based on Order 41(1)(a), I respectfully ask, Mr. Speaker, that proceedings be adjourned to tomorrow.
We shall stay in Parliament because Second Deputy Speaker Andre Siama, after listening to the debate, resolved to adjourn proceedings abruptly. He described the absence of the MPs as embarrassing.
Cannot suspend the House again. It's past 2, so I'll go ahead to adjourn the House to tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Honorable members, I think this House is embarrassed. The cameras are on us. We deliberately suspended the House for 1 hour just to make sure we get the numbers. Yet, we couldn't make out the numbers. I've counted and counted and counted and counted. We still have not made the numbers. Please, let's advise ourselves. The House stands adjourned.
Now let's get some analysis on all of this from Professor Kwabena Safo-Kantanka. He's a senior research fellow with Odikro, a group that monitors parliamentary proceedings and the performances of members of parliament. He joins us now via Zoom. Prof, thank you for joining us. Initially, what is your take on this happening? Does it point to any unseriousness on the part of members of parliament?
Thank you very much, and let me say good morning to your viewers. Well, I think that is the right description. there isn't any seriousness on the part of some members of parliament. For me, right now, there's no question about whether there's absenteeism in parliament or not. What I call parliamentary truancy. Some MPs have become truants, and that affects the job of parliament to a very large extent. So for me, right now, as we speak, we shouldn't be talking about why they absented themselves, why they do, and why they do it so frequently. There is evidence that there's so much truancy in parliament. So the conversation should now be looking at the way forward. How do we resolve this problem? How do we solve it? If you look at the constitutional provision, Article 97C, 97(1)C, for me, the 15-day period given by Parliament as someone who, if an MP absents him or herself for 15 sitting days during a meeting, that MP may be suspended or will face the rigors of the law. For me, the 15 days, I think, doesn't help. It is something we have to take a second look at. And for me, Parliament should be able to make new laws to be able to put in place some other measures to fight this kind of absenteeism. Now, for me, what I would say in the first place will be that I don't have the standing orders, the new one, that the revision that they did. You know, they have a new standing orders. The previous one also made reference in Order 17, made reference to Article 97(1). And so it's still the 15 days. Are there any other things that we can do so that we can prevent this kind of thing from going on? Because it's an embarrassment. And for me, the word embarrassment is even an understatement. So going forward, what should we be able to do? We must be able to make absenteeism expensive to MPs.
Exactly.
It is less expensive. And so there are other measures we can put in place to make it so expensive, such that if you absent yourself from Parliament, there are other things that can be done. For example, we always know those who absent themselves from Parliament. Can we even begin to publicize their names? Make their constituents know that your MP has not been coming to Parliament? Can we do that? Can we withdraw some immunities, some remuneration, some privileges? These are some of the things we should be looking at so that MPs absenting themselves will be more expensive than it is now. Because for the 15 days, even if it occurs, the Constitution uses the term reasonable. Reasonable excuse, reasonable. So what is reasonable? So if you absent yourself 15 days during a meeting, and then you are called to the Privileges Committee, the Constitution says that if you are not able to give any reasonable excuse, what is reasonable? What is reasonableness?
Prof, if I may just interject here, when you talk about remunerative punishments that could be meted out, are you saying that the salaries of members of Parliament should be, hit? Is that your suggestion? Are you suggesting that maybe those should be touched?
Salaries, allowances, yes. Salaries, allowances. For example, if an MP is suspended from Parliament, it's in the standing orders. If by some act of an MP, the MP is suspended from Parliament, they lose remuneration. You can lose some allowances, some part of your salary and all that. But that will mean that you will have to make some new laws. You have to put in place some new things. And that is why I'll ask a very simple question. If you look at the new standing orders, have the MPs said anything about absenteeism? Because you remember the Audit Crow absenteeism report came out in 2017. At that time, the new standing orders had not come in, had not been approved. So did the MPs, the Parliament, take a look at that and maybe put in certain measures to be able to curb absenteeism? If that is not in there, as I said, I've been trying to get hold of a copy of the new standing orders. If that has not been done, then I'll say that there's some intention. Because, all these things favor a lot of MPs. Because let truth be told that some of the MPs are businessmen. Okay. They do their businesses. They absent themselves because they are doing businesses elsewhere. Of course, the issues, the reasons for which MPs can absent themselves are clear.
Right.
All right. But some of them do their own personal things. And even that, you must seek, what do you call it, permission from Parliament, from the Speaker. If the Speaker has not given you in writing the opportunity to absent yourself from Parliament and you do that, it is against the laws, it's against the rules.
Right.
But we haven't seen anybody punished over the years. We haven't seen anybody punished
and that is something that obviously...
And that encourages.
Right, must change. Prof, we're very grateful for your time. We'll have to leave it here. That's Professor Kwabena Safo-Kantanka, his Senior Research Fellow with Odikro.